Welcome to Wrestling with Comedy. My name is The Real Deal Joel Davis, and this is episode number 3 of the podcast, Wrestling with Comedy. And I really appreciate everybody tuning in on episode 3. And the subject of today's episode is called the Phantom Booker Paul Cortez, a mysterious person that never really identified who they were. It was more than likely an alias. So 100% sure it was an alias. Somebody was using the name Paul Cortez to book individuals and using my name. We're going to get into it today on this podcast. So as a booker and promoter, it's not my first rodeo. The old saying says, not my first rodeo. I've been around a long time, folks. I opened my first store in 1996. I started promoting in 1999. And I've seen a lot of shady tactics, dirty play, so to speak. People are out there just to have interests. It's one way or the other, and they just sit back and try to watch someone fail. And they'll throw things your way to basically, dismantle your name and your credibility. And it's sad, but it's true. It's reality. We're keeping it real on the podcast, like you know. And when I started the promotion back in April of this year, the first show, April 11, 2025, and Woonsocket, Rhode Island, at the Terror Club, when that show was announced back before the actual show, it was a It was a buzz. There was a buzz going on. It was deafening. People would definitely like it went deaf. They went deaf. They didn't know how to take it. That this guy coming in as a promoter. And, well, wait a minute. I mean, I am. I mean, I have decades of experience as a promoter. And just because it wouldn't be in stand-up comedy doesn't mean that I am not a knowledgeable and experienced promoter in the entertainment field. Stand-up comedy is entertainment. So, of course, right off the bat, I'm sure I was underestimated and thought maybe I'd run a show or two and then fall. Like some people do, some comedians do. We know there has been. I know personally there has been some. I know of one promoter that came in fast and went out just as fast. And that's a podcast in itself. I know personally behind the scenes what happened with the gentleman, how it went down, how he got in, and how he went out. That's another podcast for another day. But going back to when Keeping It Real Comedy started up, that's where the buzz happened. The buzz happened with individuals emailing me and using these names. These were I mean you think about it, I mean these are fake names, man. These are fake names. These are people who made up their emails, all the effort they put together, creating a new email and the continuing correspondence through emails, asking me, what a paid show is. Can you explain it? I have a bar room in I think it was Fall River. They were saying they were in Fall River. And I'm like, listen, come on. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I've been around, man. I knew what was going on. It was somebody just trying to find out the inside vision, the inside plans, what Keeping It Real Comedy was all about and how I was going about it. So more than likely it was someone else running shows in the Rhode Island and Massachusetts area or a friend of someone. Hey, listen, it's all a part of the game. I get it. But it's dirty play. And, for me, it's like, hey, listen, you're taking notice. I mean, you were taking notice before I started up with the shows. You're really taking notice now, I'm sure, because the shows are going well. Everybody's getting paid. They're all successful shows. Everybody's having a good time, having great memories. I've had comedians say to me, Joel, I can't believe, quote unquote, from a comedian in the area in Massachusetts, said, I can't believe, and it always amazes me how much fun I have at your shows. That's what he said to me. It was a male comedian. We'll leave his name out of the podcast. But he had said that to me a while back, months ago. He said it never ceases to amaze him how much fun he has at every one of the shows he's done. He's done, I believe he's done 2 shows so far. And each show in different venues, he said he had such a great time. And I thought about it, and after, I've done some shows for other bookers, and, it's true. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. A lot of laughs. Energy's good. It's all positive. I keep it tight. I keep it real tight with my staff and my comedians. I don't just let anybody get in there and try to break up the positive energy. If they do, they're one and done. But when that show started up and when that show was announced, the April show, I received the emails on and on, from this person named, I think it was named Mike, from a barroom in Fall River, Massachusetts, wanting to know all this information about Keeping It Real Comedy. And, at first, the first email, I said maybe it's someone sincere trying to get, book their bar. Because we do book bar rooms, nightclubs, restaurants, fundraisers, private parties. We do right now. Matter of fact, we're in correspondence with some legit people as we speak that want to bring Keeping It Real Comedy to their venues. Anywhere from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and now New York City. I'm about quality, not quantity. I always have been, always will be. And I would have took it on, but it would never existed. It was just somebody trying to pry into my business strategy. So I knew what was going on, and I played the game. You can play the game. You better be good at the game if you're going to play the game with Joel Davis, because I play the game with the best, and I win. So we got this guy in the corner a bit, and just the emails got ghost. They stopped. It was just they knew that they were discovered. So good try, mofo. Yeah. So it didn't stop there. Actually, as the show started to get bigger, there's so much other different special curricular activity, I guess you'd call it, behind the scenes. But I will say, honestly, the Paul Cortez, the Paul Cortez is one of the most interesting Phantom Bookers that appeared. Yeah, Paul Cortez. Yeah, this guy that, there may be a Paul Cortez out there, and there's no disrespect to you if that's your name and you hear the podcast or somebody knows a Paul Cortez. I'm sure it's not that Paul Cortez. Somebody just used that name. And this Phantom Booker, that's what I call him, the Phantom Booker, that's the name of this podcast title, episode 3, Wrestling with Comedy. Paul Cortez started to, again, he's a phantom though. Paul Cortez. What did I do? This Cortez. Paul Cortez. Jamoke. Whoever it was, they must have took a lot of time. They went through all my emails because they seen my emails going out because I sent emails. Some have the blind copies, and with some recipients, which we're going to be going back to because people are stealing the emails off the email list. Some are visible, some are not visible. And I do apologize for anyone who received emails from this Phantom Paul Cortez or anything else. I do personally apologize to you. I know of a few that had got to me directly, but 2 in particular that we're going to talk about in today's podcast. So it didn't take Albert Einstein to figure this one out. As I thought about it, it didn't take long. I do a lot of my thinking in the gym. I work out hard, 3 to 5 days a week. And when I'm in the gymnasium, my mind's very clear. As a matter of fact, I was in the gym this morning. I walked to the gym with my gym bag. I walked about a mile and a half. Walked to the gym, got the cardio in. Worked out 90 minutes. And walked back. So it just helps your mental health too. And it keeps your mind clear. Trust and believe that too. And when I thought about it, I said, geez, it didn't take long to figure it out. I said, well, someone's stealing the emails through my emails that are going out announcing the shows coming up. And maybe videos for YouTube. If someone's interested in watching a YouTube video of a recent set or, something coming up. Show, tickets available. And we're right over 100 people on the list right now currently, and it continues to build. So somebody, whoever it was, had the bright idea that they were going to really try to throw, some shit at me, so to speak, and they were going to go with the let's contact some entertainers on this list. Use the name Paul Cortez, book them for a show date at a location, promise them generous amount of money, hotel accommodations, airfare, the whole bit. And it would be Joel Davis that would be the actual booker or promoter of the show. Paul Cortez was supposedly working for me, making these contacts. Yeah, right. I have, just so you know, I don't know if you know this or not, but I have eyes, and ears, everywhere. So, just so you know, if you didn't know that, you'd learn something on the podcast. So whoever it was, they got right back to me immediately. And some of these individuals contacted me right away. And I'm not going to mention all the individuals. I'm going to mention two of them in particular because they are bigger entertainers, one in the Northeast and one in the West Coast that were contacted. And they contacted me directly because I know them personally. One of them for decades, a couple decades, and his dad too. Good friends with his dad. And also who became a good friend of mine in the last 3 years, a stand-up comedian that's been working with the likes of Tom Arnold out in California. They both contacted me directly. And like I told them, and like I'm telling everybody here listening to the podcast today, if I'm booking you for a show, any type of show, this podcast, on the road to New York City, a show in Rhode Island, a show in Massachusetts, anything that I'm booking you for, I will contact you directly. You will hear from me directly with my email or my phone number. I don't have anybody do my work like that. I'm not that guy. And like I had talked to these two individuals, and they said to me, Joe, I thought so. So one of them was a comedian out of California. We're going to drop his name. I'm sure he doesn't mind because he went through it. And I apologized to him, and we talked it over, and we talked about how we were going to handle Mr. Phantom Paul Cortez. Cameron Dewan from Los Angeles, California. He has my direct number, my direct phone number. So we got on the phone. We talk on a regular basis. So, just so you know. I stepped into my office and took some time to talk to him. And he says, Joel, he says, you got to tell me what's going on. He says, are you flying me out for this particular show he was telling me about in the hotel? I said, whoa. We don't have a show on that night. So right away I know, no. He said to me, he said, Joel, he says, Paul Cortez contacted me on the behalf of you, flying me out first class, $1,000 payday for the 15-minute set, with hotel paid for. I said, Cameron, I said, you shitting me? I says, brother, I says, I'm nowhere near to be able to bring anyone in like that at this point. And that's just crazy. But I get it. I get what the strategy was. Make the promoter, Joel Davis, look bad. We've already, done what we can as a comedian, Joel Davis. Now let's get him as a promoter. It's too bad that people have to pull these dirty tactics. Just mind your business and run your own promotions or work for your own promotions that you're working for. Stay in your own cliques. Do your own thing. But don't fuck with me. I'm not the right guy to fuck with. And that's what it was. I talked to Cameron. I actually even got my bro in from New Jersey and New York, Ralph Duran, Eldon Garson. I talked to them both. I said, listen, that's what we're looking out for now. Cameron and I talked about it a little more. We laughed about it a little bit more. And I said, play the game. Tell them to send you a deposit. End up being whoever this Paul Cortez was, whoever was working as a Paul Cortez, was actually asking Cameron for credit card information. And all that. So it gets even deeper. It just didn't make sense. But a week later, I get contacted by an old friend of mine who I knew his dad, used to drive his dad around at Chrysler, New York on Fifth Avenue back in the day. Very close with his dad. And I became very friendly with him. I can call him or message him, email him at any time. And he'll be right there to speak to me because I've been to some of his shows. And he knows the relationship I had with his dad. And we go way, way back. We've talked about working together down the road, and we probably will. And there's a good chance we will. But it wasn't at this time. Frank Santos Jr., the rated hypnotist, contacted me. He said, Joel, what is this? He says, you got me booked at a hotel with a sauna and a pool, and you're gonna put me in at a big stadium out there, and Paul Cortez contacted me. Paul Cortez contacted me. Oh man, I tell you. It's like this. It's like, I feel pretty important that, people are really doing all this shit on my behalf, making up somebody's name and contacting these people that they know me. They're going to get right to me in 24 hours and they're going to talk to me about it. Come on. Stay in what you're doing. Stay in your lane doing your own thing. Who was behind all this? It wasn't just one person. We know who they are. There's ways of tracing emails. Even if it's an artificial email through another account. It's no big deal. It's come to a halt in the last month or so. But there were at least 4 different individuals that were contacted by Paul Cortez. And Paul was booking them on the behalf of Joel Davis and Keeping It Real Comedy. Wow. Wish I could be paying all that kind of cash and doing everything that I do what I can. We all know stand-up comedy is a big struggle, and entertainment in general. Just to get gigs, just to get stage time. Especially when you're an upstart, you just want the stage time. The stage time is worth money. So when Cameron contacted me and asking me about everything, he knows what his agreement is with me when he comes in. He thought he got a raise. Paul Cortez came in from Human Resources. Hey, you need a raise, man. We got to give you a raise. We want to give you a raise. You're going to make. you're gonna get more money, and it's on Joel Davis. So there's been multiple attempts as a stand-up comedian, in stand-up comedy, as a stand-up comedian. I have multiple episodes to talk about what I've been through, what I've seen, the drama, the politics, the gatekeepers. We'll get into it in future episodes. But this is episode 3, Wrestling with Comedy, talking about Mr. Paul Cortez. Again, it's not a real Paul Cortez. It's just a name that was used. So when I think back at this over the last several months, this is just extra activity that I have to deal with as a promoter and a producer of stand-up comedy. And all I'm doing is just bringing a new promotion to New England. Nobody should be pulling all this shit. I mean, unless they think that I'm running the same nights they are and taking, I don't know, maybe some of their comedians that they want to have. That I don't think so. I mean, if a comedian's booked at your venue or your promotion, I respect that 100%. If they get booked first, they take your show. If they're booked with me, I expect them to stay with me. But even the idea of just using my name and using a phantom name and phantom emails and contacting these individuals and using all this and asking them for their credit card information to put towards airfare, that's a little over the edge. So you stole the emails from my email list, whoever you are. So you either on my email list or you know someone on my email list. Or was there 3 of you or 2 of you? How many was there? We know again. We're not putting on blast, and we're not trying to start nothing up. When I say we, I mean keeping it real comedy productions and promotions. Anyone that's working with me, my staff, and my DJ, who's my nephew, Robbie Janinski, and anybody else that's close with me and my close friends. It's not even about that. This is a podcast, and this is giving information to the viewers and the listening audiences. Information that they would never know about. They would never hear about this. I'm not that guy to get on a phone or a text message. I am not that guy to be talking drama and talking shit. I ain't knocking anybody else down. I'm not trying to be Paul Cortez for somebody else. I'm not trying to use somebody else's name and try to knock them down as a promoter or talk negative about anyone else. It just brings the whole stand-up comedy in the area better having another promotion. That's all it is. That's really all it is. So, for whoever, we know who, but you people that put this together and made these efforts, starting way back early in the year when I first started to find out my strategies and making up an email and saying you had a nightclub and all that shit, to the Phantom Paul Cortez Booker, booking the R-rated hypnotist Frank Santos Jr. using my name, and Cameron Dewan, Los Angeles, California comedian that's been working with Tom Arnold, using my name. And there's others, not as big names as those 2 names, and those are the 2 names that I was using in today's podcast, because they laughed about it after, and I laughed about it after, but it's still an inconvenience, and it takes time. Time is money. And it took some of my time. My time is valuable. I make my time count. I try to share knowledge, and I try to help people along. I have my entire life. And I'll continue to do it. I'm not going to change. They don't call me the real deal for nothing. I've had that name since 1991. In front of thousands and thousands and thousands of fans over the years. So what ended up happening was I had to put something out there to show that I knew that Paul Cortez was make-believe. So what did I do? Did I contact the individuals that I knew who they were that put this together, or the one in particular, and had a couple of people help him out or her out? We don't want to say just him, but we know. Do we want to? Do we want to, like? No, we're not. No. This is. Hey, listen. It's all good. Like, they say that's all good. Meaning to me, it's like, I forgot about it, to be honest with you. I just started thinking about it at the gym this morning. That's the only reason why. I was like, you know what? People have asked me about the Paul Cortez, the Phantom Paul Cortez. It is, in relation to keeping it real comedy promotion. So I said, you know what? Let's go with it. As you know, this is a brand new podcast. There's nothing fancy about it. I'm just learning the ropes here. I mean, you can see you'll see this podcast grow. You'll see it grow. I'll pay my dues just like I did in everything in my life, and I'll make this podcast grow. And I'm going to keep it real on this podcast 24/7. And when you make it up the ranks and you become better at what you're doing, you appreciate it more. But what I ended up doing, just to send the message to the individuals, man, I imagine they probably got a kick out of it. Hopefully they got a laugh out of it. It's like the what was it, Ralph Norton and Ralph and the Honeymooners. Remember those Honeymooners? Ralph and Norton. Is it Ralph and Norton? Jackie Gleason, Eddie Murphy, Delirious. I know that you know that I want to fuck up the ass. So basically, I was just saying, I know what you're doing, who you are, and what this is all about. So what I ended up doing, just to send the message, is one of my shows, an outdoor show, this past summer. The headliner was Paul Cortez. Paul Cortez was the headliner. He didn't even show up. He was a no-show. He was a ghost. He was a phantom. He didn't get paid. He didn't take the stage that night. He no-showed. He ghosted. He ghosted me. He ghosted the show. He never arrived at the venue. Wasn't even, no contact. He didn't even take the confirmation text message. Paul Cortez was a headliner, and he was never there at my show, Keeping It Real Comedy. He never appeared. People that wanted to see him perform, they were unable to see him because he wasn't there. He wasn't there because he don't exist. People, this is Wrestling with Comedy. My name is The Real Deal Joel Davis. Until next time, keep it real at all costs.